Judith Maria and welcome to SC Global News. From what has been confirmed as Colombia's deadliest massacre of 2025, where authorities have uncovered a mass grave in Guaviare, to the religious sisters bringing peace and joy in the middle of suffering and uncertainty in Ukraine, we have many stories to cover. A horrifying discovery in Colombia. 8 Christian missionaries have been found dead in a mass grave in the jungles of Guaviare. Here is what we know.
Authorities in Colombia have unearthed a mass grave in the conflict-ridden region of Guaviare. The bodies of 8 evangelical Christian leaders, missionaries, and humanitarian workers were found buried in a jungle clearing, murdered execution style. These victims have reportedly been missing since April. Investigators traced the site after arresting a member of the FARC dissident group known as the Armando Rios Front. Photos found on his cell phone showed the missionaries in captivity and led police to the precise location of the grave. All 8 had been summoned under suspicion of aiding a rival guerrilla faction, though no such links were confirmed. The victims, pastors, and community leaders from Aravoca were known for their spiritual outreach in remote villages. Their deaths have shocked the country. President Gustavo Petro condemned the killings, calling them a brutal attack on religious freedom and human dignity. International Christian groups and human rights bodies have called for justice and greater protection for faith leaders working in Colombia's dangerous rural zones. The massacre, reportedly the deadliest of its kind of this year, highlights the ongoing threat posed by armed dissident factions and the urgent need for state intervention. International Desk, Shekinah News.
A joyful celebration took place at St. John Newman Parish, Maryland on June 22nd as Father Daniel Morrison celebrated his first Mass. He was joined at the altar by 2 very special guests, his older brothers, who are also Catholic priests. The Morrison family is widely known in their local Catholic community for their strong faith and commitment to religious life. Dr. Eric and Dr. Grace Morrison, the parents of 7 children, homeschooled them with a Christ-centered approach, making faith the foundation of their family life. The Morrisons family are witnesses to an extraordinary testimony of dedication of God within the same family. Eric and Grace Morrison, parents to 7 children, is celebrating greatest joy in their family. Their son, Danny Morrison, was ordained a priest on June 21, 2025. But his vocation is not an isolated case. Including Father Danny's ordination, the family now celebrates 3 sons who are priests and a daughter who is a nun. A total of 4 vocations within a single family. The 3 brothers, Father James, Father Nicholas, and the newly ordained Father Danny, are all serving as priests in the Archdiocese of Washington. Their sister, Sister Mary Sophia, is a member of the Dominican Sisters of Saint Cecilia in Nashville, Tennessee, and is preparing to take her first vows this August. The parents never imposed a specific vocation on their children. They homeschooled them, which enabled to integrate sacraments and prayer into their family routine. Yet they never forced their children to attend Mass, and they focused on an upbringing centered on faith and love for God, which eventually bore abundant fruit. Grace added that they raised their children to understand that true happiness both on earth and in heaven comes from seeking and following God's will for their lives. About his path to priesthood, Father Danny told National Catholic Register, quote, "There wasn't one big conversion moment, but just this slow call of the Lord throughout my early life," end quote. One cherished family custom during Morrison's childhood was regularly inviting priests over the dinner. Around the table, they shared meals, conversations, and laughter, allowing the children to witness the human and joyful side of the priesthood firsthand. Father Nicholas recalls that one of his most lasting memories is seeing 2 priests seated at the family dinner table, a simple moment that left a deep impression on his heart. Father Mark Evany, Vocations Director of the Archdiocese of Washington, has known the Morrisons family since the children were young. He believes the abundance of vocations in the family stems not from any special formula, but from faith that was simply and naturally lived. He said, quote, Eric and Grace Morrison did a truly admirable job of gently encouraging vocations, never pressuring their children or even subtly suggesting that they would be better off as priests or nuns. End quote. Even the social environment also played an important role. The Morrisons built a community of like-minded Catholic families who shared a sincere and living faith. Father James, the eldest son and the first to be ordained a priest, remembers with gratitude the way faith was lived in his home, something that was never an obligation. Father Nicholas shared that their parents encouraged them to be radically generous with others, to be radically generous with the Lord, and to be radically generous with those around them. The youngest to be ordained, Father Danny, notes that it was the love of his parents that led each one of them to grow in love for Lord, in sacrifice, and in carrying the cross. Sister Mary Sophia, the only nun in the family, affirmed that it is only through the grace of the Lord that anyone is able to respond to a vocation and live out the beauty of faith. While her own family had responded in a particular way, she emphasized that everyone is called to be open to whatever the Lord asks for them. The Morrisons have a married daughter, another son attending Franciscan University in Steubenville, and a 12-year-old daughter with special needs adopted from Ukraine. The Morrison family holds a deep devotion to Our Lady. After their wedding, Eric and Grace consecrated themselves to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and several significant milestones in their family's life have coincided with a feast day honoring her. In the month of July, Pope Leo XIV has invited the faithful to pray for formation in discernment. Through a video message released by the Pope's Worldwide Prayer Network, he encourages Christians to seek clarity in recognizing what draws them closer to Christ and what leads them away. The initiative continues a long-standing tradition of monthly papal prayer intentions aimed at uniting the Church in spiritual reflection and action.
In the month of July, the Holy Father has invited the world to pray for formation in discernment. In a video produced by the Pope's Worldwide Prayer Network, Pope Leo XIV recited a prayer to guide Christians in their discernment process so they may better understand what truly moves them and reject what draws them away from Christ. The monthly prayer intentions of the Pope trace their origins to the Apostleship of Prayer, founded in France in 1844 by Father François-Xavier Gautrelet, S.J. Over time, it grew into a spiritual initiative of the Holy See, focused on praying for the intentions of the Holy Father. Pope Francis later transformed it into a pontifical work and renamed it the Pope's Worldwide Prayer Network. Each month, the PWPN releases the Pope's prayer intention along with a prayer to help unite the Universal Church in a shared spiritual mission.
Let us pray that we might again learn how to discern, to know how to choose paths of life, and reject everything that leads us away from Christ and the Gospel. Holy Spirit, you light of our understanding, gentle breath that guides our decisions, grant me the grace to listen attentively to your voice and to discern the hidden paths of my heart, so that I may grasp what truly matters to you and free my heart from its troubles. I ask you for the grace to learn how to pause, to become aware of the way I act, of the feelings that dwell within me, and of the thoughts that overwhelm me, which so often I fail to notice. I long for my choices to lead me to the joy of the gospel, even if I must go through moments of doubt and fatigue, even if I must struggle, reflect, search, and begin again, because at the end of the journey, your consolation is the fruit of the right decision. Grant me a deeper understanding of what moves me, so that I may reject what draws me away from Christ, and love Him and serve Him more fully. Amen.
Pope Leo XIV welcomed more than 600 children, including Ukrainian guests, at the Vatican summer camp event in the Paul VI Hall yesterday. The meeting was marked by joy, questions from children, and the Pope's heartfelt call for peace. According to the Vatican News, the gathering highlighted the Church's mission to nurture hope in the hearts of the young.
A joyful encounter unfolded at the Vatican on July the 3rd, as Pope Leo XIV met over 600 children participating in the summer camp Estate Ragazzi in Vaticano. According to Vatican News, the event held in the Paul VI Hall included Ukrainian children, hosted by Caritas Italiana alongside Vatican campers. During the gathering, Pope Leo responded to questions from the young guests, addressing topics such as happiness, the importance of play, and the value of unity. In response to a question about peace, he called the war in Ukraine a tragedy, voicing sorrow for the ongoing suffering of the innocent. The pontiff encouraged the future generation to be joyful and courageous, reminding them that the Church walks with them. The participants, accompanied by volunteers and parents, joined in interactive segments that included laughter and singing. The event, now in its second edition, was organized by the Governorate of Vatican City-State. The address emphasized friendship, simplicity, and care for one another, values he urged the attendees to live every day. The meeting was a symbol of inclusion of healing, particularly for the Ukrainian guests. As Vatican News reported, the message by the Holy Father left many with smiles and hope as the little ones returned to their summer activities.
In Panama City, families gathered under the afternoon sun yesterday for the mega celebration Family God's Design, a faith-filled march organized by Panamanian Evangelical Alliance. Dressed in white, believers prayed, sang, and held banners supporting family and faith. Social media buzzed with live footage as peaceful event spread a strong message of unity and spiritual commitment.
A powerful march of faith and unity took place in Panama City yesterday as hundreds joined the mega celebration called Family a God's Design, led by the Panamanian Evangelical Alliance AEP. The religious procession began near Iglesia del Carmen on Via España at 2 p.m. with families, youth, and church groups dressed in white, carrying banners with Bible verses and singing worship songs. Religious leaders led prayers at various blocks, offering blessings for families, leaders, and the nation. According to a report published in Christian Daily International, Pastor Priciano Gil, president of AEP, stated from a final stage platform that the celebration was spiritual, not political, and emphasized that families remain the core of Panamanian society. The report also highlighted that the church groups wore shirts with biblical messages and banners with slogans such as "Yes to life, yes to family," and "God created male and female" were displayed as participants walked side by side. Live updates and clips shared on their official handle showcased the joyful procession and its reverent spirit to a global audience. The Latin Evangelical Alliance AEL praised the event as a testimony of unity and civic responsibility. Closing with joint prayers, the gathering marked the end of Panama's Family Month. Iglesia de Dios y Panama also shared the march on their official Facebook page.
For the first time in history, the Apostolic Nuncio to the United Kingdom will celebrate Holy Mass at Canterbury Cathedral on the feast of the translation of the relics of St. Thomas Becket. The celebration on July 7th will bring together church and state dignitaries, including pilgrims and the Vatican's St. Peter cricket team. Pilgrims attending the Mass will have the opportunity to receive plenary indulgence, granted under the usual spiritual conditions.
The Apostolic Nuncio to the United Kingdom, Archbishop Miguel Mori Buendia, will preside over Holy Mass at Canterbury Cathedral on July 7th, the feast of the translation of the relics of St. Thomas Becket. Although Roman Catholic Masses have previously been celebrated at the Mother Church of the Worldwide Anglican Communion on this day, this will be the first time a papal nuncio will preside over the celebration. The feast day will be attended by various dignitaries from the Church and State, including the Vatican's St. Peter's cricket team and pilgrims. The celebration will conclude with the blessing of the saints' relics. Every pilgrim who attends the Mass at the cathedral on this day will be eligible to receive a plenary indulgence provided they are truly repentant and meet the usual conditions. St. Thomas Becket served as Archbishop of Canterbury from 1162 to 1170. The strong-willed prelate was murdered in his cathedral by 4 knights after tensions with King Henry II, who had grown frustrated with Becket's opposition to royal interference in church affairs. When monks prepared Becket's body for burial, they discovered he had been wearing a hair shut beneath his vestments, a sign of personal penance which sparked widespread veneration. He was canonized just 2 years later in 1173 by Pope Alexander III. 50 years after his martyrdom, Becket's relics were translated to a golden shrine behind the high altar of Canterbury Cathedral. However, in 1538, during the English Reformation, the shrine was destroyed on the orders of King Henry VIII, who had broken away from the Roman Catholic Church to establish the Church of England after the Pope refused to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon. Today, no major relics of St. Thomas Becket remain in the cathedral apart from traces such as bloodstains. However, the nearby Catholic parish of St. Thomas of Canterbury preserves a bone relic of the saint which will be brought to the cathedral for the Mass on July 7th.
On June 29th, during a local festival performance, Spanish feminist comedian and performer Anne Lindeen committed an act of desecration at the historic St. Laurent de Arberatus Church. In what she labeled as a comedy act, Lindeen dressed provocatively, climbed onto the altar, shouted blasphemies against God and the Church, and committed a sacrilegious act involving a crucifix.
A Spanish feminist comedian and performer, Anne Lindeen, desecrated the altar of historic St. Laurent de Arberatus Church on June the 29th during a comedy show as part of a local festival. A scantily dressed Lindeen jumped onto the top of the altar, hurled blasphemies at God and the Church, and sacrilegiously used a crucifix. She boasted about the incident on X and uploaded a video of the act on social media. The Bishop of the Diocese of Bayonne, Lascar, and Oloron strongly condemned the anti-Christian act of sacrilege by the radical activist. Such actions occurred in a church dedicated to worship deeply offend the Catholic community. They constitute, in the eyes of the Church, a sacrilege that calls for an act of reparation, wrote the bishop. The organizers of the annual Euskalharia Zuzenian Festival had loaned the St. Laurent de Arberatus Church, which dates back to 17th century, for conducting cultural events. The festival promotes feminism, anti-capitalism, ecology, sexual freedom, social justice, internationalism, and cultural diversity. According to LifeSite News, the Spanish Foundation of Christian Lawyers has filed a case against Anne Lindeen for committing a crime of religious mockery.
In the city of Guaviare, located in the war-torn Ukraine, the Franciscan Missionaries of Mary continue to be a source of peace and hope for the local community. Amid the ongoing war, the sisters live out their Franciscan charism, bringing peace and compassion to the region gripped by violence and injustice. In the war-stricken city of Guaviare, amid the sound of sirens, constant threat of danger, and daily hardships, the Franciscan Missionaries of Mary are trying to bring peace and joy to the community. They serve meals to the poor, support children, and create an environment of comfort through music. The FMM sisters work in partnership with the parish of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, which is led by the Missionary Fathers of La Salette. Through this collaboration, a kitchen operates twice hours a week to serve hot meals to around 150 people in need. But their assistance doesn't end there. The sisters also offer spiritual and psychological support to those affected by war, with prayers, community meetings, individual conversations, and helping people find hope. These sisters create a sense of security. Sister Yana Chop, one of the Franciscan Missionaries of Mary in Guaviare, explained that the community currently faces a wide range of needs, from basic necessities to spiritual, emotional, and psychological support. She noted that the constant threat to life due to ongoing war has created a significant challenges for children, youth, military personnel, and their families, as well as the elderly, challenges that continue to grow as the conflict persists. In these difficult times, she emphasized the importance of placing trust in God and bringing peace to specific people and places. The sisters believe that music serves as a powerful tool to ease loneliness, foster community, and bring inner peace amid the time of crisis. They shared, quote, "In the midst of war and poverty, singing and playing music become acts of prayer and expression of hope, a reminder that beauty and goodness still have place in everyday life," end quote. The parish's musical efforts in Guaviare go beyond the local community, with recordings shared online to spread their message even further. Sister Yana explained that concerts and communal singing are recorded and shared on the Ukrainian social media platforms of the congregation, allowing those unable to attend in person, particularly the elderly, the sick, and refugees, both within Ukraine and abroad, to take part. She emphasized that during the times of hardship, especially amid the realities of war, these online broadcasts offer spiritual support, foster a sense of community, and help people stay connected to the Church of the Gospel. According to Sister Yana, it is a simple yet powerful tool for evangelization and solidarity. For the sisters themselves, making music together is a source of great joy and deep meaningful part in their communal life. Though there are other ways in daily life to bring peace to others, but FMM sisters emphasize that it can start with a simple smile, which can brighten someone's day and give them a ray of hope. That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.